And welcome everybody to Locked On iRacing Live. We are episode, I guess this is number 1, I can't say anything else. I'm Peter Walker Wilkinson. We're back for another podcast. There you go, Braden. He read all the stuff in the thing, and I'm actually trying to read it. It is season 2, week 5. We're here. I'm Peter Walker Wilkinson. I'm back. It's been a holiday, and I'm now back to right the ship. I'm here with Braden Martin. How you going, mate?
Good. I don't know. I feel like I've surpassed you on the intros for podcasts at the moment, so I have to let the fans decide who does the intro from now on.
You can do the intro whenever you want, mate. You can even do the whole show if you want. I can go home and sleep. It's all good. I'm here with the champion race-winning legend from the weekend, Carl Withy. Hey, Wilkinson Withy. How you going, mate?
Hey, I am good. I'm back again. Yeah, it's 3 weeks in a row now. I feel sorry for everybody. They're stuck with me. It's like just like when you feed a stray animal and let it into the house, it just stays there, and that's kind of what's happened.
Yeah, that David Haynes.
We are here with another part of the commentary team from Locked On Lads TV, joining us on the podcast for the first time. Special guest tonight, Scott Rankin. How you going, mate?
Oh yeah, I'm pretty good. I want to ask though, how do I get in on this free food deal that Carl's got going? Just tag me in, whatever it is, tag me in.
No problems. If you want to sponsor our podcast and you have free food to give us, let us know. Scotty Rankin will be part of that sponsorship deal. No problems at all. He will eat food. He will tweet about it. He will Instagram about it. And he'll probably even Snapchat naked about it. OnlyFans. Oh, sorry. No, apparently no. He doesn't have his OnlyFans account for food. Not for food, people. OnlyFans, don't go there for food. Anyway, we're here tonight. We promised you something a little bit different, and then I went on holiday, so we didn't really do it. But I'm back now, and we're going to do a live version of the podcast, and then we're going to record a news and results one afterwards. So you're here live. Thank you, Hoffy. Thank you, admins TOCE. I assume that's the admins of the OCE. And Dave Douglas and Peter Baxter for joining us live at the moment and chatting in the said chat areas. We're here to talk about what we've been up to. I want to talk to Braden because he won a race on the weekend, but I really need to hear Carl's version of how he won a race of Ann's car on the weekend. What happened, mate?
Well, what can I say? It's all down to my pure talent and skill as a racing driver. Everybody underestimates me often, and this weekend I proved that I'm not all talk. I can actually win a race, and I did it in style by winning it by a whole lap as well, beating Dylan O'Shea and Daniel Hedershide by multiple laps, and just absolutely destroying the field. Just absolutely annihilated them. We were driving at Owendale and in the street stocks, and just pure skill on my behalf. Just absolutely. No luck, or the fact that the rest of the field managed to kill themselves, and it was a figure of 8 track and basically a destruction derby where I got lucky. Nothing to do with that. It was just pure skill and talent.
We have pure legend in our midst here. This is amazing. I just can't believe you beat the people that you were naming off there. Daniel Hedershide of all people. How can you beat someone of that caliber, Carl? What did you do a speech afterwards?
Of course, yeah, I did thank my pit crew, my sponsors, of course, and everybody like that. But Neil Pearson as well, the two-time Ann's Car champion Edward Foster was lounging down in P9, barely even on the pace, useless driver that he is. It's just absolutely destroyed the field. People like Andrew Dyson, multiple race winners were there, and just none of them could keep up. We were also with the Weekend Warriors as well. It was the Easter Trail, so there was multiple races over the weekend with Weekend Warriors and Ann's Car, and it was a good laugh and a good lot of fun. But it was good to get that victory because a lot of people knew that I would not shut up about it, and
Just so you're aware, we have got the news and results schedule right here. There's a 45-minute window put in for the Ann's Car wrap for this week. This is amazing, Carl. I can't wait to listen to that later on. But look, sorry, Scotty. Look, we normally get into it when I do a podcast. We get a guest on. We go straight into what they've been up to and introduce them and talk about them. But I just had to talk about the victory.
No. Keep going, because I can guarantee you the next 50 times that Carl and I do commentary together, that is all I'm going to hear about. You remember that time I won a race, Scott? Yes, Carl.
And here comes Neil Pearson, the guy I beat, up the inside here. I wonder if he's going to be driving better tonight. Is that what we're going to hear all the way through it?
Pretty much, yeah. Constantly I will be bringing it up. So yeah, I'm going to be insufferable for the rest of the season now. And yeah, it's all of our own fault for not wrecking me. They should have tried harder to destroy me in that race.
Is that because you're going too slow?
One job, Ans Carfield. One job. Take Carl out, and you couldn't get that right.
Well, in all fairness, in the first race, I did manage. We had basically no penalties, no cautions, nothing like that. Sort of no rules whatsoever, and still, I managed to get like a 3-minute stop and hold penalty. So I was impressed by that one at least.
Did you have Braden Martin on the side of your car? Is that what you had?
Yeah, he was there in spirit with me.
Oh, there you go. So, Scotty, look, we've got you on the podcast here. You have joined the Locked On Lads TV broadcasting team. You've been helping out while I've been away lounging on a island somewhere, drinking pina coladas and that kind of stuff. But tell the audience who listens to the podcast, who is Scotty Rankin?
Hi, I'm just turned 30. I have green hair, blue eyes, so
long walks on the beach.
Colours, long walks on the beach. I'm married, so unfortunately you're gonna have to fight my wife for that privilege, but that's what it is. Primarily an Indycar driver and an endurance specialist. Those are my big privileges. That's my real resume. That's my bread and butter. I've been racing for about 6 years. Actually, probably a bit longer than that, about 8 years. In terms if you count the Formula One games on a controller. That's where the love for racing really kicked off.
Isn't that the only way to race? I've heard, just racing with a controller.
Who pays all of this money for simulator setups? Wheel and controller every day.
That's it. So look, we've got you on the podcast. What have you been racing lately? Give us some races. What have you been doing?
Just finished up a season racing in America with a league by the name of Area 51. Multiple very, very high level and very high rated IndyCar drivers managed to walk away third, which extremely happy about, given that I had 1 week off with COVID and I got booted from one of the races due to lack of internet during the floods. So that was an amazing result. Right now, I've just actually gained access to the Lionheart IndyCar series, which is considered by many to be the best IndyCar series in the world. So that's my next step up, is really trying to push myself as far forward as I possibly can within the IndyCar world. So, and that's actually gone quite a long way in 6 months. So,
what are you doing here with us plebs then?
Well, he's trying to be like Carl, obviously.
Look, somebody's got to rein Carl's ego back in, okay?
That's fair.
How do you qualify for something like that? What was the process?
First and foremost, I needed to have somebody within the league actually sort of put my driving talents and pedigree forward. That I am. They don't set any hard and fast sort of regulations. It's more of a, we're going to add you to the driving pool, but to do that, you need to have a couple people sort of stand up for you. Next is I've now got to compete in a whole bunch of practice sessions. So the goal of those is just to prove first and foremost, safety. Obviously, I can race side by side. I can race in a big pack of Indy cars. And then after that, it's about pace. Start to sort of qualify my way in. They're not really going to deny me. I mean, provided I can stay towards the middle of the field, that there's not really going to be many issues. But getting into the league was the big step, and I've now achieved that. So
excellent. Have we got? Is it Indy 500 month next month, or is it the month after? It is next month.
I think it's May. May.
Usually May.
Yeah. What the one weekend is the fixed series, and then the very next week it's the open series, which is actually split up into 2 separate events. So
something like May, June, July, and then finally in August or something, isn't it? Like
no. The iRacing one's May, but no, I think the Indy 500 IRL is actually coming up in the very near future as well.
Yeah.
So
it's a whole month. We only worked out last year the first time we'd ever followed it because Scotty Mac was over there, and it's like, is it still going? Have they qualified yet? And this is about 3 weeks into the process.
29th of May, if you want to know.
29th of May.
That's the real one. Yeah, but when's the more important one? The iRacing one.
It's around the same weekend, I assume. Now, are you hyped for the Indy 500? And now, is that the first race you'll be going in this league, or is there going to be a few more between now and then?
There is a couple. I believe my first race will be Kentucky, which will be around the 10th of May our time. I've actually had to apply for special dispensation actually for my job to allow me to work from home on that day, because the races start 12:30, I think, out in New South Wales time. So they've been quite supporting of me. So that's obviously can't thank them enough. But Yeah, and then Indy 500, I think, is for Lionheart is actually, I think it's towards the tail end of June. So they don't line up with the real world race.
Okay. No problems. Were you mighty impressed with Scotty's ability to spin it at the hairpin at Long Beach and not get flipped into the moon? Like so many other
Not
people
get
do?
flipped in the moon. That's the real skill.
As soon as I saw him hit that wall, I'm like, I've done that before, but I ended up over the fence on my roof for some unknown reason. And I saw someone else head a shot, I think it was actually, Carl, your little man you beat, ended up in a skippy in the moon on that corner in iRacing. So
Bring it back. Bring back the bouncy curbs at Long Beach.
I reckon. Were you impressed, though, with his ability to spin that around and not take anyone out as they came around the corner?
Yes, but that also speaks qualities about Scott McLaughlin as well. I mean, if you have a look, he has that knack of putting himself in those aggressive positions, but also managing to pull himself out of it. And you've got to look at Long Beach as well as the strategy that he was on at the time in the race. He just pushes himself so hard, and he threw a curveball at them. He had to go for it. He was trying to be aggressive. He was trying to build a run. We've all done that.
Yeah, Brayden has. You've done that, mate. You pulled that one on the weekend. Did you?
Yeah.
Did
I?
Yeah, you won a race, mate. I want to go straight in. I've been waiting to hear. We're going to get back to Scotty in a sec. You're sitting there like you're about to fall asleep, but you've been racing oval stuff, mate. What's been happening?
Yeah, I've been raising hell and praising Dale, you know? Just my second calling, I think. No, I've been meaning to do it for a long time to try and get my oval license out of D class and up to C class so I can actually do some proper oval races. There's not really much that you can do in D class and rookie apart from, you know, just go around and hope that you don't die. There's no strategy involved really. There's no safety cars. So it's been on the list of things to do for a while, and normally I don't own the tracks and I can never be bothered buying the tracks because I may or may not ever use them again. So yeah, this week it was at Twin Ring. The ARCA series is at Twin Ring Motegi, obviously a track I have because of the road course, so I decided to jump in, and it was actually like super fun to drive in the ARCA cars. So I ended up doing like 7 races there, which was pretty cool, and yeah, got my first oval win. I think I gained 280 something IR and bumped my license from D 2.8 up to C 3.49. So got the automatic promotion up to C class, and now I can try some other things if I want to. But it was really fun.
In Thunder Series on a Wednesday night now.
Well, hang on. More importantly, you've got practice at Motegi. Indycar fixtures there this week.
I did say that. I don't own the Indycar. It's a car that's on my list of things I really need to buy.
It's one of the 5 cars you don't own.
Probably, yeah, probably. But yeah, no, it was really cool. Like the racing was really fun. Like it's really, really wide oval Twin Ring. One tighter, or 2 tighter turns and 2 more open turns. Not a crazy amount of banking, but enough. But it's yeah, it's really fun to drive. The ARCA car was perfect for it. Basically, like a little bit of brake on the tighter turns and get in nice and close, and then just off throttle basically for the more open ones. And it was really cool because like people just burn their tires up, and then you just come zooming past them like in the last 10 laps of the race, and it just happened continually. The first sort of 3 races, I just was purposely qualifying at the back. And just because I was just trying to get safety rating and just trying to avoid people, and then decided to once I got up to C class try and do a couple more races where I tried to qualify, which was pretty cool. I think my best race, the one that I won, I started 7th and got the guy on the 3rd to last lap to win, which was pretty cool, and he was about 4.5 seconds in front of me at one point. Just used his tires and came back to me. And then a couple of races where I think I started 17th and finished 7th in one, and things like that. So yeah, it was really, really fun, really enjoyable. I know that I think the they're not called the Gander trucks anymore, are they? The NASCAR trucks.
Camping World.
Yeah, that's the one. Camping World. They're at Talladega, I reckon. Another truck I don't own, but it's kind of half tempting to jump in and do a Talladega race.
You have to own Talladega at some stage in my life.
Yeah.
Seriously.
You don't own Talladega. That's blasphemy.
I don't own like any ovals. The only ovals I really own are the one either Dover, because we did the skippies for Aussie Car, and like a couple that we've done for road courses. Like I think I own Phoenix because I actually did the Ann's car race at Phoenix, and that's about it. Like
Daytona,
yeah, like the common ones that come
Yeah.
with the game.
Charlotte.
Daytona and Charlotte, obviously, because of the road courses.
Phoenix as well.
Yeah, and Phoenix.
Look,
yeah.
I'm on the other side of the fence, Carl. Yeah, I'm surprised. First and foremost, you have Dover, and then secondly, don't buy Talladega. Don't do it. Don't do it to yourself.
No, do it
Yeah.
for sure. We've got a question from the audience. Hoffy wants to know how those Arca brakes.
Arca Brakes, great series. If anyone doesn't go and watch the Arca Brakes series on YouTube, I think it's Team 5G is Team something, RG5 or something. If you look up Arca Brakes quality videos, just basically absolute numpties driving the Arca cars and set to classical music. It's just great.
They did a 87 race a couple of weeks back, and Anne's car's very own Noddy Tompkins was in it.
Wow.
And we were just losing it. It was great to see him there. And we just seen him, and all of a sudden we just see him just smashing up the field, and we're just like, wait, is that Noddy? And, so he has been copying it on the in race radio every time, and he didn't even know he was in it, so it was hilarious.
Just on the Dover thing, by the way, Scotty, if you haven't, I was in the iRacing not top 10 of my last race at Dover because I almost pulled off the world's best escape from the big wreck in the Aussie car Skip Barber series, and then just got shunted right at the end of making it through about 15 cars. So if you want to go have a look at when was it? Must have been the December or January iRacing not top 10. You'll see my Skippy going around Dover, almost making it through the big one, but not quite, unfortunately.
It beats me. I think my only entry for iRacing top 10 is I was commentating an Indycar race and I was the secondary commentator, and you just hear me in the background, just, oh my god, no! Oh yeah! I want to move!
Just hear the microphone just blowing up,
melting.
No, Carl, because I know I have normally your job, right? I'm just sitting there doing the analysis, and the other guy's going berserk, and I'm just like, oh, I can't hold it back. I have to say something.
So, just quickly, it's we're in the Xfinity series, the Thunder series for Anne's car. That is this weekend, at Dover this week, and it is the Locked On iRacing or Locked On Lads sponsored race too, Braden, because we didn't qualify high enough in the teams championships to get the ones we wanted, and Dover was about the only one left. But I figured we've had so much success / infamy at Dover, so I'm like, we'll go with that.
Chastity won a race at Dover under our name, right?
Yes.
He was in the Locked On colours when he won at Dover, I'm pretty sure.
He was leading at no stage except for when he crossed the start-finish line against Alex McKellar. And somehow he was in front across the start-finish line, but then not across at the end. It took him half a lap to work out that he'd actually won the race. Or maybe that was the dirt one. I can't remember. But
No.
I won the dirt one. No, but the same track, USA Speedway, when it wasn't dirt.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a very, very close one. Dover's good, but not in a Skippy. Not in a Skippy.
Now we know that you own Dover and you have an Xfinity car. You have no excuse for Wednesday now. That's it. Got to get out there.
Let's see. No promises.
Because I know the other thing you are working for now. I haven't talked to you since where did you go to? Mosport, wasn't it? For Scops.
Remember anything happening at Mosport? No.
So I'm watching the races. Team owner, in inverted commas, for those not watching the podcast live. And I'm like, oh, cool. Braden's doing really well here. He's doing excellent. And then they're showing someone else going into the pit lane, and all of a sudden I see a flash of Locked On iRacing or Locked On Lads or whatever we're called, Locked On Racing, flick across the front of a guy and almost clear him in the pit lane. I'm like, that was Braden. Yes, cool. I think my only commenting thing was that's not the coverage I really wanted. But
I don't think driving the wrong way down the pit lane is normally good in a race. No,
but I don't know how you missed old mate when he came into the pit lane. And who was your spotter to tell you to flick spin at that stage?
That was Tim Harris. That was Katie.
I
think, to be fair, I think he'd probably told me to flick spin about 4 times before that, but I'd stalled the car 3 times. So what can you do, hey?
So take me into this pit entry. You hit the wall.
Do we have to? No, I didn't.
You
hit
just
anything.
lost it, didn't it?
the rear brakes just locked up. I practiced the pit entry a few times and
Did you
had
get
never had
speeding
that
in pit
happen.
lane?
Nope, no speeding in pit lane. Locked up the rears. Rears spun me around. I happen to have had the first pit entry bay that I didn't even know. So it's actually lucky that I spun. Otherwise, I would have drove past my pit bay anyway. So then was facing against the wall, stalled the car, had to reverse, stalled the car, had to flick spin, stalled the car, then got into my pit bay. So yeah, things went well.
Oh, and the fact that Jay went back and found the replay and proceeded to show it in slow motion, it was really good. I'm glad we got on that. But then,
Yeah.
how's Scott's going for this week though? Let's move away from your bad effort.
Well, I was just gonna say the annoying thing was I'd actually had a real probably the best. That's the best I felt I'd driven in a supercar since I've been in it. Like super consistent. That track's really, really tough in the V8. Like so undulating. So many spots that can go wrong, and if it does go wrong, like you end up 3 kilometers off the track because it's just grass and you just can't stop. So it was annoying, and I got like a mega start and avoided a massive crash. So I was up like 13, 14 spots after the first 2 laps or something. So yeah, it was a bit frustrating that was the way that it sort of ended. I ended up finishing still 1 spot above where I started. So, and the guy that I was right behind as I came into pit entry finished 20th or something. So I was on for like a top 20 ish sort of range. So yeah, it was a bit disappointing. This week we're at Road Atlanta. Started doing some laps yesterday, only about 40 minutes or so worth. And I could only manage like a 120.8 or something. And I said, "Oh, Chastity, what sort of lap time should I be aiming for around Road Atlanta?" He's like, "Well, I think Roy was like, well, if I'm doing 119, so you should be doing 118." So I was like, "Oh, okay." So I was just doing some laps before we got on, probably, I don't know, 20, 25 minutes worth. And
it was a hot track, wasn't it? That's what you got to say. It was a hot track. Yeah.
I wish I could say that it wasn't. I just jumped in the official practice session before, which was like 18 degrees, so it was super cold, and I did like a 119.4 or 119.6, so a little bit better. Road Atlanta's hard track as well, and especially in the supercar, it's just like it's not really well suited. It's not a lot of grip going over those crests, especially in that first sector. So it'll be interesting. I'm glad I started practicing now and not on Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, definitely. Look, for everyone listening at home, it's was your second official Scops race or third?
Second. I didn't make
you did Red Bull, wasn't
one. Yeah.
Okay.
I did 120 laps of pre-qualifying and managed to complete 4 of them. So the first pre-qualifying didn't go well.
So look, you are definitely learning it, and you're coming along very well. We may have a second car coming into it soon if we can convince.
I hope so. I'm tired of flying the flag by myself up here.
So I think young Katie himself, Timmy Harris, might be getting ready to jump in.
Well, I saw him pop his name into the East Coast Discord server.
Oh, okay.
I reckon yesterday or today. So you will not find me doing that series because there's no way I'm sitting there doing a 300-kilometer individual race on a work night. Like it's just not. You probably wouldn't even see me do it on a weekend. To be fair, like that's I can't. But yeah, good on him. If he can do that, he's a better man than me.
It was interesting. I had my brother-in-law and I had my sister up with and the whole family, but I had my brother-in-law in the rig on the weekend, and he hopped in it, did a lap in a V around Okayama, the short track version, and he got out of it and he said, "How long do you race in that thing?" I said, "Oh, races go up to 70 minutes." Like, man, I couldn't do more than 5 minutes in that thing. He's like just triples. It's not VR or anything like that. He was wobbling. He had almost seasickness from racing in it. So yeah,
I've definitely gotten better. Like I used to be like by the end of a 25-minute Aussie car skippy race, like I was struggling, and then we started doing the 50-minute enduros, and now I've done the 70-minute enduros with the SRW, and I'm getting better at it, but I'm just still so sore, and like my right leg's still playing up every now and then in the shin after a long session. So I'm still surprised I survived the Raw before the 24. That's the longest individual race I've done by far, whatever that was, 2 hours and 24 minutes.
Yeah, that's crazy. Now you only just survived the week, to be honest, as well, didn't you?
Yeah, let's not go there.
Yeah.
Look, Carl, I want to talk about Bristol because I went to jump in a NASCAR this week to show him. I'm like, I'll chuck you in the race this weekend for Bristol, and then I realized it was Bristol Dirt. Now you went around the trucks, did you?
I did, yeah. I was going to say, if you want to actually make somebody motion sick and really give them that effect, Bristol in the next gen, the Gen 7 Cup car, do it in that after a bit of racing as well. We had cars literally lifting up off the rear. It was terrible. Like they were launching through the air. That it was rougher than going out on the ocean in a storm. It was crazy stuff. Like we saw, I think it was Riley Curtis. His whole rear axle was off the ground for maybe about 3 seconds down the back straight. It was ridiculous. Like that thing. It just you do not want if you get motion sickness, don't do it. And those guys were using VR for it.
Oh yeah, no.
Sadists. That's the only thing I can say. Dave Douglas was one of them, and he said, it was pretty bouncy.
Yeah, I eyed this off as one I wasn't going to race in anyway because I wasn't here, but B, it was a B dirt license to get into it, and I don't have a B dirt.
Yeah, that caught a few people out, unfortunately. I raced in the trucks, which was pretty rough. I've got an issue at the moment, my lower back playing up, and I can barely use my left leg. So I'm sort of having to use the right foot to brake and do everything.
Wait. You were using the brake in the trucks?
I was just giving it a little dab just to get the nose in a little bit, just to get it there. And it was working quite well, in all honesty, until I got caught in like the softest little accident and got hit on the rear axle and ended up with like 9 minutes of repair time. And I was just like, God damn it. So I still got a top 20 at least. So that's something. I finished 19th in the end. But
and how many cars were in raced, by the way?
I think it was
21, 22,
20, 30 odd. About 30. 28,
well, that's
30.
okay. I thought you're doing what I do. I got a top 20 this week out of 20 cars. It's great.
Yeah, no, there was a really good turnout actually for drivers at the dirt for the series. It was surprising to see so many. But like, I was the only one out there with the rookie, whatever it is, the lowest license possible in the trucks, and I'm there. I was just I don't drive dirt normally, so I was pretty chuffed.
You can get out of pretty well. Dirt pretty easy though, Carl. Rookie license. Come on.
Well, the thing is,
even I'm out of rookie and dirt.
I've got a 100% win ratio in officials in dirt, and I don't want to lose that. So I've done one race, got the win. 100% win ratio, so I don't want to lose that percentage, so I'm just avoiding it.
Yeah,
Ruko would know that if he listened to our podcast last week.
I don't listen to podcasts. I don't have time to listen to podcasts, to be honest. I did 2,400 kilometers of travel in the last 2 weeks. You'd think I'd listen to something, but when the family's in there, we'll just listen to songs and that's it. I couldn't listen to idiots talk about other stuff. So anyway, it's all good.
Hey, Tim Court, what's it on?
He comes home after 2,400 kilometers of drive, and he's like, you know, I could go for a race.
Yeah, it's the first thing I thought of. No, I haven't even turned. I turned it on to show because the first thing everyone walks into the house. Oh well, man, that's amazing! Like, can I have a go? I'm like, yeah, I'll set it up for you. It was one of the biggest things because we've been selling our house. We sold it last Monday, and everyone who walks through in the open house is like, oh, what a setup. Can we have that? Like, does that come with the house? I'm like, well, just pay a bit extra, and I'm happy to, because I'm not taking anything except for the pedals and the monitors with me. So, pay a bit extra. I'll just get some new monitors and maybe not some pedals, but I've got the G920 pedals out there I can give you. And
buy a house, get a sim with it.
Yeah, well, and especially the families that came through with their kids, it's just like, oh my god, this place is amazing, and they've only seen one room, and but. We sold our house, so I'm now in the process of talking to one John Hancock. No, not John Hancock, bloody hell. John from Racecraft at the moment. So we have a new rig being built.
You did get the first part.
I know. John Lee had a shocker.
No, I mean you got the first part of the new rig build.
Oh yeah, no. So I've seen the pictures. I haven't got it. I've seen pictures. He's like, "What wheel do you want?" And I'm like, "Just tell me. You're the expert. Just whatever." And he's going, look at this one. You happy with that? what color? And I'm like, oh Jesus, there's color options now. And he's gone this one. I'm like, oh, blue. Give me blue. So he's done the frame or the ready for the wheel to be put together, and he did slide. Apparently, don't tell anyone, but he slid me up the queue. Apparently, there's a big long wait for this wheel, and he's just gone, I'll put you at the front. Don't worry about it. So.
Don't tell anyone, did you say it live on the podcast? Well done, Will.
No one listens to this crap. Don't worry. I don't even listen to it. But yeah, so
Clearly.
so we got the rig getting made at the moment and getting organised, and hopefully get set out. I bought a new monitor for this TV for this computer here, the broadcast. That'll be coming up when we go to the new place. It's a curved one, big 49-inch one. So
still not big enough. You're going to need at least 6 more of them for broadcasting.
It does have. I've finally got the okay to put a 27-inch above it. So
just the one.
Just the one at the moment. I'm not pushing my luck any further. It may cost me a dog, but I'll get the stuff the way I want to.
As then you're going to sacrifice a dog or gain a dog?
Gain a dog.
I just see him going to an altar with a dog and sacrificing it for a monitor. Just sacrifice his dog, monitor appears,
no. You know me with words. But yeah, so then this monitor that I'm staring at right now will become the 4th monitor on the rig behind me. So I will now not look like a pleb with my triples. I'll actually have my 4s, and it'll be really good. But I'm now toying up in that position of I want to build. I've been talking about I need to upgrade the broadcasting machine because it's not quite there to do everything that I want to do. It just stutters every now and then. The RAM's not there. The CPU's not quite there. So to do that, you need a new motherboard, and then you're like, well, if I do that, may as well get a new case. Oh, do I do that? Do I get some better cooling? Well, I've basically built a whole computer now, so do I just get someone to make me a fancy computer that looks cool? I'm like, oh, but if I do that, I want to actually chuck a good video card in there, and then all of a sudden your shopping cart's at $7,500, and you're like, I only want to spend $1,500. So I'm in that point at the moment, going, what do I do? And then if I just upgrade this machine, I can at least take the 3070 out of that and put it into the racing rig, which is running on a 2080 at the moment. So it's a little bit of a bump. It's not a huge jump, but it's a little bit of a bump. And I'm like, well, why don't I just buy? It's just all.
So a quick story. Before the first Australasian E-Series broadcast that I did a couple of weeks back, my housemates were going out to buy a couple of new graphics cards for their computers down at MSY, like computer store in Adelaide. And so I was like, there's a big sale going on, and I'm like, I just noticed that, the RAM sticks that I use, that they're on sale as well. So I thought, let's upgrade, go from 32 to 64.
Yeah.
So I got an extra 32 gig of RAM. I'm like, okay, this will be nice and easy. I'll just slot it straight in. Nothing will be problematic. Put it in. All of a sudden, the CPU stops working. So up until about 20 minutes before the broadcast starts for the Australasian E-Series, my computer is in bits all across the room with me screaming, going, why is this not working? I finally just hit the fan really hard, and then all of a sudden the CPU started working again. I don't understand why, but that's how it worked. And yeah, it just worked. And then for some reason, all of the RAM was set to run at like the lowest frequency possible. So I had to go through and do all the BIOS settings. It was just a nightmare. And like literally just before the broadcast started, I just got everything working, and I'm just jumping there. I'm like, yeah, okay, everything is fine. It's on fire, but everything is fine.
You were really
told me that.
You were channeling your best Wilco, weren't you? There, because that's what usually happens.
Yeah. Well, back in the day, back when we first started broadcasting on Performance E-streaming, I was doing a broadcast and my computer was getting so hot that smoke started coming out of it. So I had to get a couple of extra fans there and just start doing that in the broadcast because the CPU was getting so hot that it started smoking. The graphics card was mildly just starting to catch on fire through the broadcast. We just made it through before everything went up. But that was an experience as well. And, it's a fun thing, broadcasting. It's a really exciting thing to do sometimes, especially when fire's involved.
Yeah, I can just imagine that, the broadcast. It's just so hot right now. My feet are on fire. Oh, no, my actual feet are on fire. Hold on.
Yeah. Yep.
So back in the day, I was doing some video rendering with a computer that definitely wasn't ready for video rendering, so I had to take the side off the computer, and then I put a big, massive, like, was 30-40 centimeter fan next to it, but then it was used that often that I actually got the jigsaw out and cut a hole in the side of the desk so the fan could permanently sit in place to cool this thing down. And even then she froze a few times, but long one of those days, hopefully. We hopefully have, by the time I go, what I want is when I move in the new house, which is 2.5 weeks away. So Thursday fortnight we get in. I'll be able to set, whatever I end up doing with the new computer, it'll go in and I'll have both studios set up until we finish the move. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. But I've got some pretty cool ideas for it all, and hopefully it all works. And I should be able to race as fast as Braden. Isn't that what it is? It's my gear that's holding me back, Braden, I'm sure.
Never.
No, not as fast as you. Oh,
No, that'd be silly.
Remember, ladies and gentlemen, don't just buy a case to upgrade your computer, buy a house.
yeah, that's it. You got to go the whole way, because the studio is going to look really good. Like, we've got soundproofing, more space. We get the carpet in tomorrow, which apparently I've been told. I just got Daniel Gray slide into my DMs, but he's not actually slid into my DMs to ask me for private pics. But he's not doing it open to everyone. But anyway, hey Daniel, hey Mark for joining us, hey Luke for joining us as well. Everyone who's come through. We will tell the story of Carl's victory again before we finish the podcast, just because it was that good. So all those people have joined from Anscar.
That's not 11,000 viewer Daniel Gray, is it?
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, fair enough. GG.
Luckily, I did record the whole race, and I am in the process of editing it together and actually uploading it. So, so everybody will get to see the fantastic victory of mine, which made up for a terrible go-kart related finish that I had many years back that cost me a victory. Edward Foster, I'm sure, is pulling his hair out right now as I say.
He was already pulling his hair out before you even said anything. But anyway, it's all good. Scotty, how are you enjoying broadcasting with us compared to every other professional broadcaster that you've been to before?
Wait, everyone else is professional?
I think everyone else is professional. They've got to be better than us, don't they?
I mean, look, it's how you approach it, to be perfectly honest. I think I've had the most fun in my broadcasting career because for those people that don't actually know, I've actually been an esports commentator since 2013, and iRacing was just a new thing for me. I think you have the most fun when you're just doing it for fun. Getting into production and whatnot, a lot of the times people just take themselves that step too seriously, and it sucks some of the fun back out of it. And Carl and I have been broadcasting together for a little while now, and I show up to hang out with Carl, and there's just a broadcast happening.
Yeah, that's it.
It's true.
As soon as I heard Carl's on the market, as soon as FGM eCast went by the wayside, I'm like, we got to get Carl. I don't care. I got to spend more time with Carl. Whatever I've got to do, let's do it.
Yeah, acts like I'm sort of on the market with contracts and people actually own, have rights. I just don't like a stray cat. I just end up everywhere.
Yeah, that's it.
Carl, you didn't discuss this with me, right? I have a 10% share in your humor.
Oh, that's a big
10%
share.
to 0 is still nothing.
That's it. Now, we've got a topic from chat. Carl Joe wants to get some tips. Mark Joe, sorry.
Carl Joe.
Mark Joe wants some tips. I don't know what he wants tips on, but Braden, I'm still confused, right? When I first started racing with you, you didn't know that iRacing did tyre wear because you just thought your tyres vanished like straight away. Yeah, back in the Bathurst 12 hour, you were burning them up. You and Nathan Verney, all that kind of stuff. What have you done? What's changed? How with you're now racing at twin ring? You're winning from behind. You're overtaking people every 10 laps, like in the last 10 laps. What's changed?
I don't know. I guess there's a couple of things. One is like focusing so much more on corner exit as opposed to corner entry. A lot of people like to go into a corner really, really fast, which generally ends up with a lot of understeer, which is not great for your tires. And I guess the other thing is probably the biggest change I think in my driving full stop was when I had those lessons with Daniel Morad and in the LMP2, and the amount of talking and discussion we did about like opening up your steering earlier, and I suppose using the throttle to rotate the car a little bit more, which you'd think makes it sound like you're going to burn your rear tires up more, but in fact it doesn't. It actually saves a lot of tire wear because you're not pushing the front tires whilst you're still 90 degrees turning or whatever. So I guess that's probably a big thing for me that I really focus on now, is getting that steering wheel as straight as I possibly can before I apply the biggest amount of throttle or that last big jump to 100%. So that's something I probably have worked on recently.
Apparently the biggest tip we're getting from Chad is taking the target off your car.
That also doesn't help, yeah. But that actually helps avoid tire wear as well, because you end up in the pits, you don't have to drive anywhere. So
that's it. Now, Scotty, you drive Indy cars pretty seriously. How important is the tire wear on that, and what do you do to save your tire wear on that besides hitting the wall and spinning?
Well, if you're running in the Dallara IR18, which is the current generation of IndyCar that's actually on iRacing, there's a couple things. Weight jacker, this little tool designed to help the cars stay together and run in a pack. You hear Formula One drivers complain all the time about aero. Wait until there's a whole bunch of Indy cars right together on an oval. So weight jacker certainly helps. Backing up the corners is probably tip number one. And what I mean by backing up the corners is backing up your entries. You're going a little bit slower in. What that does is it opens up the corner. You want to try and get as much of your steering done off the throttle or with minimal throttle input. You want some throttle input at some tracks to maintain that momentum. And then once you've got exactly what Braden said, as soon as you've got most of your turning on, you want to drive the throttle back in. And tip number 2 is turn up your tire sounds in relation to everything else. So if your tire sounds are currently maxed out, turn everything down a couple notches and then turn your overall volume up. And then leave your tire sounds where they are. Anytime you hear this sort of scrubbing sort of style of sound, that's tire wear happening.
Yeah, definitely. That's something I noticed with the V8s, and that's what I was driving with, because obviously I've got a G920 at the moment, so the force feedback's not huge, but the listening to the sounds of the car, using that more, especially with a good set of headphones that I've got now, and listening to the car tell you when it's having problems and trying not to do that is a huge deal to it. So,
well, I mean, you've got to remember that we're in simulators. There's no possible way that we can fully and utterly replicate a real life experience. So you've got to make up for that somehow. And yeah, just basically making sure that you're getting as much feedback out of the car as it can possibly give you from the constraints that you have is definitely a big step.
Yeah, definitely. Carl, you got nothing, do you? Just drive it around an 8. No, give us just your best stuff. Come on.
Look, the thing for me is not overdriving it and also not pushing too hard at the start of the race. But the biggest advice I can give people is to not absolutely go for it at the start of the race, because you're just going to end up causing a wreck for yourself and wrecking other people out as well. And that's the easiest way to lose a race, is by going for things too early. And it's the thing I see so often, as well, as people will go into free wide mode at the start of the race and end up wrecking, and that's it. Your race is over and done with. Pushing too hard in those early stages really can do it. Pushing too hard in general as well, that's something I'm guilty of sometimes. And if you do push too hard, you're going to end up absolutely buggering up your race. Going for dive bombs and things like that, at the end of the day, they don't work out for you. We had the 87 race in the Weekend Warriors on Saturday at North Wilkesboro, and I was a lap down. I just got out the pits at just under caution, and I just pushed too hard trying to get back on that lead lap. I was actually racing against Daniel Hedderscheid as well. And
that guy you beat all the time, you race against him.
Yeah, that's it. Beat all the time in the street stocks, but in the A7s, not so much. But I was the first car a lap down, and I was really trying to get that lap back. Unfortunately, I was also really struggling with my left leg with braking. As I said, I've been having a lot of issues medically. And in the 87 car, it is a really, it's a tough car to drive as well. And I could not get the brakes working for me. So I was having to tweak all the settings and try and I had to basically crank up my brakes to basically be just a little dab, and they were pretty much full on. So it was really easy to lock up, and I kept locking up, and it was a nightmare. It was a horror of a race. And pretty horrible horror show. But that's the thing, is just getting your settings right and also not racing too hard. That's the biggest advice I can give. And that's another thing as well, is getting your settings right.
It's interesting you say about the the not racing too hard. The race that I streamed doing the ARC race at Twin Ring must have been yesterday, maybe the day before, can't remember. I started 7th, and the guy that started 6th ahead of me, I think, literally like on the half a pace lap that you do at Twin Ring, weaving side to side, like warming up the tires, like going nuts. And I'm like, I said to the stream, like, you watch this guy, he's going to have really good pace for the first few laps because his tires are going to be nice and sticky for the first 2 laps, but like he's going to cook his tires and he's just going to go backwards. And he got himself up to about 2nd, I'm pretty sure, after the first 4 laps or something. And I just had a look at the results then. He ended up finishing 14th. So he got up to 2nd by pushing like really, really hard in this first couple of laps and, you know, just destroying his tires, and then had no grip for the last, 15, 20 laps of the race and ended up just going backwards at a rate of knots. So it's just, races are long. They're not won on the first lap or the second lap. And as much as it's nice to be out in front, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to finish there, especially in things like the ovals where tyre wear is super important. You can start losing a second, 2 seconds a lap just because you've got no grip left.
Stock cars and ovals, not Indy cars. It's actually funny that you say that because I wouldn't say necessarily go out and race. Oh yeah, I've got to look after the car, I've got to look after everything, because there's actually a lot of IndyCar races whereby the only time you can get the moves done for the lead is lap 1. After that, you cannot make moves for the lead. Chicagoland is one. With the fixed setup, basically the goal for the leader is run the white line on the bottom of the track and nobody will ever be able to overtake you. But on that initial start phase, what you can get is that double draft whilst everyone's still getting up to speed. You get enough momentum to clear the leader and you get past them. So it's not necessarily don't race hard, it's race with a plan. If you go, my goal, I know that I'm better than these guys on tires, that's what I'm going to race to. I'm going to look after my car. And sometimes it's not even look after the tires, it's race. Okay, I've got to get through this first half, 3/4 of the race, and then I can go racing. And a lot of people shy away from that. And they go, but I just want to go racing. I just want to go fast. But yeah, do you want a result or do you want to race people? Because I mean, there's fun in racing people and there's fun in results. Like, have a plan and go to it.
One of the other things to say is sometimes it's better to race smarter than it is to race harder. Strategy wise is really important in that respect. And I don't have the pace on a lot of these people. It's I know I'm a couple attempts off of most of the guys. So it's more of a thing of trying to race to a different strategy, or knowing when to fight as well and when to just back off, knowing who I'm in a race with as well. I know I'm not going to be racing the leaders per se. I'm not going to be racing the top 10, but I know I'm quick enough for the top 15. So, around some of those people, you can race against them pretty well, and you know that you're going to be racing them all race long. So getting that right, and also just working out a strategy. Now, of course, if there's lots of cautions, then the strategy goes out the window a little bit. But if it's a green race, sometimes you can get the undercut working for yourself, or you can get that long fuel run done and save fuel and actually get a lot of positions by just saving fuel. And it might not be the fastest way of racing, but you can get a really good result out of a fuel saving stint, especially, ovals, things like that. When it comes to road racing, things like skippies and things like that, there's been a lot of situations where it's been a thing of just keeping clean as well. I love skippies and racing them. They're great fun, but there are a lot of guys that I race against that are much faster than me, and they've got a lot more practice in those series. So it's just keeping out of trouble and watching those guys get into a battle and waiting for them to actually start battling each other before you make your move, and just trying to keep your eyes on the mirror almost. I was at a race at Mount Panorama in the Radical on the weekend, and it was the first time I'd raced the Radical and the first time I'd raced at Mount Panorama in iRacing as well. So, lots of good. And it also turned into a night race as well. So, extra fun. I absolutely cocked up through the kink, but that's nothing major.
I just hold on. I'm shaking my head here for those not watching. That's the first time you've raced at Mount Panorama in iRacing. Is that what you just said?
Yeah. I've done a lot of practice laps and a lot of things around there, but I've not raced at Bathurst in iRacing. I've raced it in so many other things, but
I'll give you a small pass on that, but that still feels wrong.
Yeah, I know. It's the thing of I don't race V8s, so
that's okay. You can run Legends around Bathurst. It's fine.
That's it. Look, the next gen NASCAR around Mount Panorama race. I think that would be
No.
what everybody would love.
Yes, please.
But the start of the race, it was an absolute nightmare, and there was carnage everywhere. And it was just watching people, and just you keep your eyes on those people that are weaving before the start of the race, or that are, you know, really doing those weird little moves, and you just tell that they're on edge and they're going to probably cause a wreck. And also just keeping in the mirrors and watching for people dive bombing. You had a guy dive bombing down into Hell Corner, and just you could see it was coming. You could see he was coming, and I just widened the corner, went round, and just saw him go straight off into the gravel trap, and just let it happen. And you know, it's just keeping your eyes on the people around you, having that race awareness and situational awareness sometimes is really important.
Yeah, definitely. Now we've got some stats coming live out of our chat. Apparently, Steve Hopperts reckons 60% of iRacers would disagree with you can't win the race on the first corner of the first lap. Braden?
Probably more than 60%.
Yeah.
You would think so. And Edward Foster said that apparently the 87s had a clean race after you left on the weekend, Carl. Is he's suggesting there's a coincidence there, or that's might be something to that?
Look, a lot of people had gone out by the stage I left, so I'm there. I may have caused one caution. That I definitely caused one caution, but the rest of them kind of, you know, there wasn't many other situations that I sort of was totally involved in. Let's say that.
No problems. Yeah. So as Sam said in chat, there is different horses for different courses for finishing at the front. I just love finishing the race. That's all I'm aiming for. You know that. But yeah, watching people fly off and crash and dive bomb and miss it and stuff like that is really good. And that's what I do it for. And it's the consistency is 100%, but then you get into stuff like Sunday Night Lights where you've got 18 cars on the track and 17 of them are racing really smooth and no crashes, and you end up a lap down anyway. That sort of doesn't help at all. But
shout out to Pete Baxter if he's still listening in the chat. Pete Baxter in the Global Indycar League has been taken out first 2 rounds of the season, no fault of his own. He just happened to be in the wrong spot at the wrong time.
Oh, that's not fun, and I know that feeling too. Well, back to what you said too about IndyCars at Chicagoland. It was very much Skippy's and at Dover, wasn't it, Braden? You just had to get in front and then hug that bottom line. That's what the locked-on line was.
Yeah, I think we had about 5 cars in a row on the inside line, didn't we, from memory?
Yeah.
And the plan was to make sure no one could pit and they all just run out of fuel or something like that.
So that was it. And yeah, putting people up front, letting them run out of fuel was a pretty big thing. But we are getting to the end of the live version of the podcast. I want to find out what our special guest is up to in the coming weeks and where they can find you, Scotty. Where can people find you? What you got planned for us?
So first and foremost is obviously turn enough laps to gain access to, like I said, I'm pretty sure it's Kentucky for the Lion Hut series. Other than that, trying to squeeze in some racing on the weekends. Yeah, look, race control, commentary duties. I'm just blitzed for time most of the time at the moment, just because, you know, I want to see the Australian. I want to be more successful by giving back to a lot of these leagues. So I think you guys have all run into me through race controlling with the sim racing world. I've been lucky enough that they've actually approached me to run a truck league for them on Monday nights, which is directly competing with Anscar.
Yeah, that was a bit interesting. And we've actually got a whole heap of locked on cars going in it for some reason. I don't know why. That's anyway.
Look, sometimes some people are looking, not necessarily, the thing I cannot say enough, and I think you guys would be backing me up on this, is that sim racing world is about racing for the fun of racing. It's not about the results. And that's why I love those guys. And they started talking to me and they said, hey, look, we're interested in ovals. We hear you talking about it, hear you banging on about it all the time. Come and teach us. So it's been a lot of sit down and coaching them. Yeah, this is what you're going to be looking to do with your setup. This is why you're thinking about doing it. Here's when I'd be saving some tire. Here's how you're saving some tire. Here's how you're driving the car. So if you're interested in the Sim Racing World Truck Series, that will be running on Monday nights. I believe practice is scheduled to open at 7:30. Pretty varied series. Round 2 we're going to Coda with no track limits, which is exactly how the trucks race there in real life.
Yeah, that's the way it should be. Bloody track limits at Coda are a nightmare.
Look,
Yeah, and they end up racing in Mexico effectively.
So, but you know, the whole plan for me is just to get back to having fun. The entry into Lionheart, all things aside, it's about I'm going in there as a rookie. These guys have been racing IndyCars for years. I just want to sit down with these guys and learn. If you're interested in endurance racing and IndyCar racing, twitch.tv/RANKONIUS, Rankonius. I get a lot of people call it Rankonius. Rankinus. Yeah, one of those three.
That's it, Rankinus. Let's just call it Rankinus from now on. Let's just go with that. You've also got a gig here from Mark Joe. Wants to see if you're free next Saturday night next year for Saturday nights next year. I don't know what that's about, but might be one of those OnlyFans things.
For $5, I can be free any time of the week.
Oh, there we go. We've got to up our game then. We've got to pay more money for people then. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Good luck with all that stuff, and definitely go check out Rankonius. I'm just going to say it as many different ways as I can now. Lucky we're live and people can see.
At least you don't have a speech impediment where you say W instead of R.
Yeah, okay.
Look, okay. All right, calm down there, Carl. I still have to do commentary with you, all right? We haven't settled there.
It might be a live race control gig. He might be hitting you up for, not an OnlyFans gig. Sorry, I got that confused in the translation. Carl, mate, what do you got planned, and where can people find you?
Lots and lots of commentary as ever. Of course, we got Anscar this week. Of course, tomorrow night it is the Xfinity at where are we tomorrow? Dover, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, it's over. It's the Locked On Racing's over. We were talking
about that before. And then, of course, the Cup on Thursday night over on the Anscar Facebook page and on the Performance E-streaming. That's what I'm looking for.
Not Locked On Lads TV. No, not at all.
No, not Locked On Lads TV yet. It'll happen one day when I forget to put when we put the wrong stream key in and everything goes wrong in that respect. The fun stuff. And then on Saturday it is the Anzac round of the Weekend Warriors series. So that is a big race for them at Talladega. Talladega. God, my brain's just going. It's been one of those weeks where I've had so much going on in my brain that I just keep forgetting things.
This is standard. This is absolute bog standard, Carl.
Yeah.
That's it. It's normal. Just it's just constant in that respect. So really looking forward to that one. That is a big one. Mark Johansson, of course, in the big organization for that one. So yeah, catch us out over there, and that would be on Simshed for the broadcast. But check out the Weekend Warriors page for more information on that one, because that's going to be a big race. But of course, we've got Talladega as well with the Anscar on Cup as well. So it is, it's a big weekend it's a big week for all of that. Lots of super speedway action.
Excellent. Definitely check all those places out. Now, Braden, you're streaming again. Can people find you streaming again, or what? What's going to happen? What do you got planned? What are you doing?
Yeah, I've been trying to force myself to get back into it. If I jump in the rig and just going to do stuff, it's nicer to sit there and chat with people rather than just sit there by myself, isn't it? So yeah, you can jump over onto twitch.tv/the1dwade if they want to have a gander.
Or they want to talk NBA playoffs. Is that what they want to do?
Yeah, some NBA playoffs going on at the moment.
But
we
not
will not
AFL.
be talking anything about AFL. Not at all. No, doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist. Poor Port Adelaide. They must really hate you as a supporter.
Yep, that's good night.
Thank you, everyone. If you do want to join us, we will be doing these more often. Look, hopefully every week if we can. Locked On Lads on Twitch, Locked On Lads YT on YouTube, Locked On Lads on Facebook. Go check us a subscribe. All those things that all the famous people tell you to do when they're watching all those streaming platforms. It really does help though if you can do stuff like that, because obviously, gets our numbers up and gets us out to more people. Don't forget Locked On Lads news, Locked On iRacing podcast news and results will be a separate podcast that will go up this week. So this will also hit the MP3 feeds, but then later on this week you'll get the news and results on your feed. So you'll be getting 2 doses. You can catch it live, or you can catch just the news result ones offline only. So keep an ear out for that. We still have the full team in the background. We're just trying to give people a bit more of a break, as as we've talked about in the past. But yeah, that's where we are at the moment. Locked On Lads TV will be broadcasting live tomorrow night, as we said, for the Dover. 150, sponsored by ourselves, which is pretty cool for the Xfinity Series for Anne's car. And we will be coming live on the 8th of May for the Australasian Supercar E-Series as well. So we'll be taking over that for the next season of that, which will be really cool. And I'm still finalising a whole heap of stuff to do with charity work for Cure Cancer for their Superhero Streamers campaign, which starts in a bit over 10 days' time. So keep an ear out for that. There will be a Locked On Legends race coming one Friday night of that. I've just got to actually sit down and work it out. But yeah, that'd be really cool. So thank you for everyone who's joined us tonight. It's really good to see everyone in chat and having a go. Talking about Chaz Mostert here, our new guest, and Scotty Rankin and all that kind of stuff. So thanks, Scotty, for joining us tonight. You've been a legend, and I'll talk to you fairly soon when we get you on for the next broadcast, which will be probably sometime in a couple of weeks' time.
Oh, look, I mean, you said I can come back. I was expecting, look, it was nice to meet you. This was a great introduction. Thank you for your time.
Well, that was one option
Thanks,
we almost went with. It was a very tight decision, but we got there in the end. But
Carl, you were supposed to vote against me.
That's it. So thank you, everyone, and we will be back next week. Have a good one, and talk to you soon. Bye.